Hello and welcome back to Rule the Game. In this video I'm going to show you how to play Critic Kitchen. This is a game by Cutler and Peter Hayward. It is for 1 to 5 players, lasts about an hour, and it's recommended starting at age 12. I will not show you the solo version here. I will also not show you some of the advanced cards that you can get, some of the restaurateurs that you can add to make this game more advanced. Well, I'll show you how to start this game for the first time with the basic rules. And we're going to get started by showing you how to score points here. Then I'll show you how to play the game. I'll give you some hints for your first game. And then I'll show you how to set up the game. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe on the button below. But now let's get started with Critic Kitchen.
Rule the game.
Critic Kitchen is played over 7 rounds. There are 3 scoring opportunities within the game. There's the final scoring, where you make your final plate of special food, but then you have 2 intermediate scorings where you make some additional plates of foods that will also give you some points. Points in this game are these little stars that we have right here, where you have 1s, 5s, and 10s. Now you can see the different rounds here on the main board with these little cards. So you have 3 here, then you have a first challenge meal, that's your first scoring opportunity. Then after round 6, you get a second scoring opportunity. Round 7 is the last round, after which you're gonna prepare the critic's meal, which is the final scoring option. I'll first show you how to score the challenge meals in between after round 3 and round 6. For the challenge meals, you'll get recipes up here. These are recipes for round 1 through 3. These are the recipes that we don't know yet for round 4 through 6. When we get to round 3, after we've played the round, and I'll show you how to play the rounds afterwards, we will now prepare these 3 meals. For this you have 3 plates that are yours. You'll see here on my personal board, I'm the red color. I have red plates. And I will now prepare each of these 3 recipes on my plates. For this, I'll check what ingredients are needed. So we'll start here with the tasty tapas, where we have carrots and mushrooms and bread. And I will load my plate here with carrots, mushrooms, and bread. Now you need at least 1 ingredient of each. So in this case, you see the carrot, the mushrooms, and the bread. Should you not be able to collect these 3 ingredients, all of them, there is an option to replace 1 or 2 of these ingredients by either soups, I give you 1 point, or by bisque. That's a 3-point soup, it's just a better soup. In any case, you can never prepare a meal that is only soup. Nobody will want to eat this. So you have to have at least 1 ingredient properly. Now as you see, let's say I have all these ingredients. While you play, you might also come across some of these peppers. If you have the chilies here, you can use the chilies to increase the score of your meal, and you can always use one of these chilies on one of the ingredients. Adding a chili always increases the points of the ingredient that you have. So in this case, you would make out of a 4, you would make an 8. You can always only have 1 chili per ingredient or 1 ingredient per chili. So you can only double the value of 1 ingredient. Now there are also some of these allspice chilies. They can be placed on any ingredient. It doesn't really matter which one it is because allspice spices everything. So you could place it here on here, which would make the 6 to a 12. Now for these challenge meals, you can also add more than 1 of the ingredients. So I could have 2 carrots here. I could also have a second mushroom here, but again, the chili then only counts for 1 of the mushrooms, not for the other one. I could technically also put here the allspice chili on top of this mushroom again, then this one would also be worth 8, but we won't do that here. Again, you could also replace a bread by a soup. Now once you've done this for every single recipe here, you will then count the number of points that you have per recipe. So in this case, I have 10 points from the carrots. I have 8 points from this mushroom, so I'm at 18, 22, 23 points. As you can see down here, if I have more than 21 points, I'll get 4 stars, 4 victory points. I'll take them from here, from the supply. If you only achieve 12 or more points, then you get 2 victory points. And if you have only 6 or more and not quite 12, then you'll get only 1 star. So this is what happens here at the challenge meals. Again, for all 3 plates, you'll score them separately. So you have a maximum of 12 points that you can get, 4 points, 4 victory points, 4 stars per plate. And you do this first for here, the first 3 recipes. And then once you've moved on to round 6, after round 6, you'll actually make these 3 recipes. And at the time, you'll actually see them when we get there. And then we'll actually get into round 7, and after round 7, we're going to do the critic's meal. There is a possibility that you have a food critic up here that will influence also these challenge meals up here. You will see that then when there's a plate here on this card. In this case, it only has the symbol with the cutlery and the plate in the middle, which is the critic meal, the final meal, as you can see. So this card only influences this scoring opportunity, but not the challenge meals over here. Now the critic's meal is prepared here on this platter here. You'll see on this platter the 7 different ingredients that we have in the game, and you see that I already collected a bunch of those. Now for the critic's meal, we start by preparing the critic's meal first. To prepare the meal, you will be allowed to have exactly 1 of these little chips here on each single ingredient. So you see I have actually 2 carrots and I have 2 mushrooms, so I will have to take 1 of those away. And then you can also add some spices if you have spices, but again, you can only use 1 spice for each ingredient at the most. That is, unless your critic up here has a special rule, where in this case you'll actually see for the mouse, you can have several cheeses. It doesn't just have to be 1 chip of cheese, you can have more than 1, but I don't even have any cheese, so that doesn't really help me at all. Once we're done with preparing the critic's meal, we'll then check who has the most soup. So here you just count who has the most points in soups, and whoever has the most points will get 1 star. Then all players who have all 7 courses prepared, who really have a chip on every single ingredient, will get an extra star. I don't have any cheese, so I won't get this extra star. Then we go by best of each course, where we now look at each ingredient separately. So we check the bread, for example. I have 6 points on bread. We check who else on the table has more than 6 points, and if there's somebody else who has more than 6 points, they will get that 1 star. If there are 2 who are tied, then both of them get the star. So for the best of each course, we really go through every single course, and there's 7 stars that can be distributed. Next, there are rumors up here that influence how the scoring is done. And you will see that some of these rumors up here, some of them are here with a black top, some here have a red top. If you have a red part, this actually influences just the final score, not here the score rumors. The score rumors are these with the black one, and here you get extra points if you fulfilled the condition that it says up on top here. There are also some bonus scores, but they are usually advanced cards, so you won't get anything here in your first games if you don't work with the advanced cards. We don't do this here, but they technically would be bonus scores, and then we already come up with the final score. For the final score, you'll take your personal board, you flip it over, and this is where we now calculate your final score. Now for the final scoring, you just go from left to right, and you just add up all the points that you have. So for example, you get 6 points for the bread, you'll get 14 points for the carrots, you'll then get no points for the cheese, 2 points here for the fish, 5 points for the meat, 8 points here for the mushroom, and I have 3 value of wine, but as you can see up here, now this is where we use this red rumor thing, red rumor card, where you see if each wine is actually doubled. So I get 6 points for the wine, and I'll end up at 41. Honestly, that's not very good, the 41. We should probably get past 70. That would be really nice. But if I have only 41, I'll get 6 victory points. I'll take those from the supply over here. Those are the points that I get, the victory points here. Should you get to 70 and beyond, Once you're at 70, or at 71 actually, you'll take the 10 victory points from here right away, and then you continue up here until you end up wherever your wine takes you, and then you take these additional stars here. The person who has the most stars wins, and if there's a tie, then it's the person who actually had the highest score in the final critic meal, in the final score there, the one we just counted on this board here. And if there's still a tie, then it's the person here who's ahead on this pig track here. This is furthest on, so orange would beat purple and purple would beat red. Now let's have a look at how to play this game. Now, as I said before, this game is played in 7 rounds, and each round works the same way. And we start always by setting up the round by using here the Maître d'Oeuvre card that tells you here at the start of the round what to do. And I'll show you here how this is done. We'll start first by revealing the challenge card that is corresponding to the round that you're playing. So in round 1, you'll open up here the first challenge card. We'll then make sure that we have a bisque here in the soup truck. Next, we'll restock the items here in the different stores, and you see down here how many items you're actually going to need for each of these stores, and we'll restock them for everything here in the middle, not for the soup truck, not for the Chef Academy, and also not for the Midnight Merchant. So you'll just add as many of these icons here, as many of the chips as it says. And then we also reveal here for the Chef's Academy, we'll reveal a card that we put here. You see it's Lily the Frog. Then we'll find Lily the Frog and we'll place Lily the Frog right here. Now what we do is that every player at the same time will decide where they want to send their chefs that they have. So you have 3 chefs. You have here a big one, a boar, and something else, and something else. Again, I called this a chipmunk. I don't know what it is. But they all can grab a different number of ingredients. The boar will take 3 ingredients, and the little chipmunk here will only get 1. And so the way that I do this is that I take my card, you see, those are the red cards, and on each of these cards, I have a location here on the board, and that's where I'm going to send my figures. So if I want to send here my boar to the soup truck, then I'll put the soup truck here. And let's say I'm going to send this one to the dessert vendor, and then I'll say I'll send this one to the Midnight Merchant. Not the most strategic moves that I just made, but it's an example to show you how it works. Every player does this. Every player puts their cards here. And the next thing they do, they all reveal them at the same time. And then they place their figures in the corresponding market. So here I said soup truck. I'll put the boar in the soup truck, and I'll put it there where the symbols here correspond to the sign on my board. So here, 3 bags, 3 bags. This is where the boar goes. This one goes dessert vendor in the middle. And this one goes to the Midnight Merchant here at the beginning. As you can see, now we have a 3-player game here. And in a 3-player game, you see the other 2 other colors also have placed their figures on the corresponding fields. And of course, because we only have each location only once in our cards, we will have only 1 figure per different plates that we have here. Now the way we play through these different shops is that we start on the left and work our way through to the right. On each shop, we'll start first with the smallest figure that is on there. In this case, there's none here, then neither is there one here. So we'll end up right here with the boar. That is my boar, actually. And because this one has a capacity of 3 that it can carry, I can take 3 ingredients from here. Now, of course, I will take the bisque and I will take 2 soups. I'll put them here in my supply. Then I'll take my figure back and place it here on my personal board. We'll then come here to the next one, Garden Top Shop. In this shop, we only have the little chipmunk here of orange. Orange has only, or the chipmunk only has a capacity of picking 1. So they will pick, of course, this 7 fish, and they'll take the fish and the person back. Now, you see there are 2 ingredients left in this shop. If there's nobody left in this shop to take these ingredients anymore, we'll take the ingredients and we'll put them in the Chef's Academy. Now the dessert vendor is a little special because in the case of the dessert vendor, we now have rumor symbols and they correspond here, the question mark to the question mark. This is a wild card. This could be any rumor. So me as this player here, I can decide which two of these tokens I want. And let's assume I actually want the rumors. What I do then is I'll take the rumor, I place it right here. I can only ever have one token here per rumor, so I can never pick up a second question mark. I can only have this one. And then I can look at the rumor here, and I look at it privately, because I should be the only one who actually knows what this says, because that gives me an extra edge to actually win this rumor at the end of the game. And let's say I wanted a second rumor, and this is, again, this is the special chip where I can decide which rumor I want. I decide I want to see the three dots here. I'll look at the three dots, okay, that's the wine fanatic, and I'll put it right back. If a rumor token is on my board, I'm allowed to look at this rumor for the rest of the game, whenever I want to, in case I forget it. If every player has seen it, then we can just flip it around, and everybody can look at it all the time. Now, as you can see, there are two boars here that are now competing on this last ingredient. The way we break this tie here is that we look at the chef's hats here, and whoever is closer to the arrow will actually get the first pick of the two. So in this case, orange is first, so orange will get to pick this wine. Now this is unfortunate for purple, and because purple doesn't get any ingredient, they get a consolation soup, so they can take the consolation soup to their side. In case there had been more ingredients to be picked up still for the two boars, then still orange would have gotten the first pick. But then afterwards, purple would have gotten a pick too, and if there had still been more, orange would have gotten a second pick, and so on until both of them had their three picks. Now here it's done after one pick. Unfortunately, that's all they get, so they will then pick up their boars and take them back. Technically, what could also be, in this case probably not, but I'm going to make a small change here. Let's say if orange goes first, takes the 7 fish, and removes their token because there's nothing for them to take anymore afterwards. Now purple could also decide that they don't want these 2 fish. They rather have a soup, a consolation soup. They could do this. They could take the consolation soup and take their figure back. You can never take a consolation soup if you've already taken a token, but if you haven't taken a single token yet, you can always take the consolation soup. Now if there's still 2 fish left, that would also go into the chef's market. Water market, same thing. Here the person picks up whatever they need and takes their token back. Whatever remains goes back to the chef's market. Midnight Merchant is a special plate because here on this special shop, you don't actually know what you're going to get. So you'll place your figures there, and now we're going to fill this shop with the 5 icons that it says underneath. And so now we have to do a tiebreaker again, as you can see, because they're both here on the very left. And in this case, purple is ahead of red, so purple gets to pick first. And purple takes the fish and takes their figure back. And now because these 2 figures were the first to pick on this shop, as you can see, if the first pick is a tie, you move the chef hat back. So in this case, because purple had actually the first pick on this specific plate, they'll move the hat back behind the red to the end. And that's how the order changes here for tiebreakers. Now if I, as this player here, decide to take a wine, then we will actually not move the 2 rumor tokens here to the Chef Academy. We'll only move the wine. Rumors that have not been picked on the shop will go back into the bag, and they will not be moved to the Chef Academy. The Chef's Academy works exactly the same as the other shops, with the exception that here you also have the sous chef that you can pick. And usually whoever is here will pick, and if they have the option, they will probably pick a sous chef, because the sous chef also has a special ability. The special ability either is something that happens when we start a location. So when we end up on a shop and we start that shop, then there's the special abilities used. Or it can be before the player picks the first item on this specific shop, or it can be right after the player picked their last item on that shop. But sous chefs are additional cards that you can take then to yourself. And for the next round, you'll actually have this sous chef, and you'll be able to place a card above the sous chef. And when everybody then reveals their cards, you'll have a place where your sous chef can go. Of course, I would have picked this not blindly, but I would have known where I wanted to go. And for example, here, if the sous chef goes to dessert vendor, I'll take it and place it again. You see here, capacity 1, it goes right here. And it will be able to pick one of the first items here in the dessert vendor after in the next round. A sous chef can only be used once in the exact next round. If you don't use it in the next round, bad luck, it goes away. If you've used it once, it goes away too. So you can never have more than one sous chef, or there's never more than one sous chef per round actually in the game. So now that we're finished here with this round, there are no figures here anymore on any of the shops. We'll take all the ingredients and we'll put them in the soup truck and we'll start the next round. Again, we'll set up everything here according to what the Maitre D says and what I showed to you before. There's a special setup when we get to the third round. As you can see here, there's this little plate that you have here with the cutlery. So once you start the third round, you flip around the challenge for the third round. You'll place here this one up here on top of this recipe on the last ingredient. And for this recipe here, you will not have to deliver any carrots. It's going to be just 2 ingredients. And of course, because it's just 2 ingredients, it's going to be harder to actually achieve the points that you need to get your victory points, because again, if you want to have 21 victory points, you would have to achieve this now with just fish and just cheese, and you don't have anything else. Of course, you can add soup and bisques, but it's trickier to get to the 21 in that case. And then I've already explained to you how to actually score the challenge meals. For if you want to see that again, you would have to go back into the game scoring section at the very beginning. What happens after we scored these 3 challenges is that we're going to move this plate here to the 6th round. This will happen. This will do the same thing over here. Once we end up with the 6th round, we'll also flip this one around. We'll put this here on the wine. So it will do the same as over here. We'll just reduce the number of ingredients needed for this recipe. Now, once you've scored the 3 recipes here, then there is a special rule here. First of all, of course, you'll take all the ingredients that were on your plates. They go back into the bag. And then you're allowed to have only 5 ingredients left in your supply. Now, these 5 ingredients are really ingredients or spices, but you can have more soup than the 5. So 5 ingredients or spices plus as many soups as you want, because the soups don't go in the fridge and you have a small fridge after 3 rounds, so you can only have 5 ingredients. At the end of round 6, you'll actually be allowed to have 10 ingredients and 10 spices, or 10 ingredients plus spices left in your supply. Now also, after you finish the challenges, you remove the recipes, you don't need them anymore. Those were only for round 1 through 3. Then again, you do 4 through 6, and in each round you open one of the recipes, you cover this, you also make these recipes on your plates, you score them, and then you can actually put that token away. You get into round 7, and in round 7, you'll take this allspice spice chili, and you'll place it here instead of a sous chef. There is no sous chef to be picked up in the Chef's Academy at the end of round 7. All you can pick up is this special chili, the allspice chili. And then we go and prepare the critic's meal, as I've mentioned before. When you start round 7, you will also not open up a new challenge recipe, because there is no challenge. There will be just the final critic meal at the end of round 7 that you play. And that's how you play Critic Kitchen. And here's some hints for your first game. Of course, the final critic meal is where you can win the most points. That is true. And for that, you should probably go and have a look at the rumors, because The rumors, especially if they're things like these, where you double points for a certain ingredient, they will give you a bunch of extra points, but you need to know them. So I suggest that within round 1 through 3, you'll actually try to look at a bunch of rumors so that you know exactly what's coming and how to prepare that final critic meal. Of course, during the game, whenever you can get a 7 value for an ingredient, and 7 is the highest value that you can get, in that case, you'll probably keep that 7 for your final critic meal instead of using it for one of the plates before. Now, the value 2 is the lowest number that you can get, but there are more of them than there are 7s. There's only one 7 per ingredient, so really try to keep that one if you can somehow get it. Having said that, you might have to use a 7 at some point earlier in the challenge meals, because if you can actually make a challenge meal with 21 points or more, that is really a good deal, because it gives you 4 stars here, while having just 6 or 12 points, you'll only get 1 or 2 stars. So here you can really advance most if you get a meal that has 21 points or more. Having a 6+ meal might not even be a necessity to do. You might even just skip on that because it doesn't really give you that many extra stars if you can keep a good ingredient then for later in the game for the final critic meal. Now, besides that, if you look at how the scoring works here for the final critic meal, then I wouldn't worry too much about the most soup. I would not worry about all 7 courses because they're only just 1 star. Yes, they can give you an edge at the end, but not necessarily that much. It's really not that much of a difference. Usually the points vary more than just 1 victory point at the end of the game. Usually the points are really decided by the final score that you have back here, and you really might want to try to get the highest final score, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have every single ingredient, but you need to have a high number of points on the ingredients that you have if you don't have all 7. The best of each course, as you see over here, if you want to have a high final score, you'll automatically end up with points here. So also that one I wouldn't really focus too much on, because you're going to try to have high points anyway. And so I don't think that really makes a difference. In the end, it really is the final score here or the score rumors that come up here that really make the biggest difference. And that's why I would also look at the score rumors early on. Besides that, when it comes to placing your figures on the board, one very important thing for you to know is you need to have a sous chef at least once, if not twice or 3 times in this game. The sous chef might not have a crazy ability, but the sous chef is an additional chef that will get you in additional green ingredients that will help you with challenge meals or in the end with critic meals. You have additional opportunities to actually win something on the board, which you otherwise don't have. If you leave another player to get the sous chef more than 3 times, that player will most likely win because they have the best opportunities to get stuff all the time. They're always one ahead because they always get more. There is absolutely no problem with putting your boar on either the soup truck or on the Chef Academy, because if you're on the soup truck, at least in round 1 through 6, you'll definitely at least get soup. And having 3 soup is sometimes worth more than having 3 random ingredients that you can't use for anything. And remember, for the challenge meals, you won't be able to really always get all the ingredients, so you can replace some ingredients with soup. So you'll definitely need soup in round 1 through 6 if you want to get a score on your challenge meals. Now the Chef Academy otherwise has the big advantage that it most of the time has some ingredients, because most of the time there will be ingredients that move to the Chef Academy from other shops where they weren't fully used. So there, a boar can really also help you to get some more ingredients that you could use, but most likely they're not going to be the best ingredients anymore. And that's it. That's Critic Kitchen. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please subscribe to the channel. And up next, how to set up the game. To set up the game, you'll place the boardwalk here in the middle. You'll then take the soup truck and you place it here all the way to the left, you can put the Chef Academy all the way to the right, and then you have the Midnight Merchant here right next to the Chef Academy. All the other shops have on their backside a number, and you'll take all the numbers that are same number as number of players or below. So in this case, if we're setting up for a 3-player game, you take the 1, 2, 3, and you place them in order that it says here. So you'll have the 1, the 2, and the 3. Next, you'll take all the zoo chefs, you shuffle them, you'll place them here on the Chef's Academy. You'll shuffle all the rumors. Now here you need to know that the basic rumors are the ones that have here a white towel on this waiter. If you have an orange towel, those are advanced rumors that you can use later. You place them here. And then you have here a critic. You shuffle all those critic cards. You place a critic here. Usually for the first few games it's recommended, or first game it's recommended that you use the mouse. Afterwards you take whatever you want. You also shuffle the recipes. For the challenge meals, you'll place them up here, up top here. There's 7 recipes, so you'll have one that you won't use. The maitre d' you put here so that you remember how it works. You'll place here your card on the 1. That's going to be round 1 that you start first. You'll place here this plate with the cutlery here. And then you'll place here the allspice thing on the 7. You'll then hand each player their player board, all of their cards. Each player then checks on their cards which stores we don't actually have in this game, because you have here also the cards for the 4 and the 5-player game. We don't need them here. Each player then gets their 3 figures that they place here. They get a screen in their color. They also get 3 plates in their color, as well as this Final Critic board in their color. They put all of this behind their screen. And then you take all the 3 players' chef hats, you shuffle them and place them in random order here up on top. You'll have here also all the stars available for everybody to reach so that they can get their points when they do the challenge meals. You have here the soups and the bisques. The unlimited soup supply will be right here, or you can actually place it here on the soup truck. There's going to be just 1 bisque, but that will come when we set up the start of the round. You put all the ingredients here in the bag, you shuffle the bag, and then you hand every player 1 soup that they have in their supply to start with. And now we're ready to get started.